Hello, Stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Trey, and today we're going to go over a book that I thoroughly enjoy. It is How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. This is one of those books that when I was a young person trying to learn how to draw, this was invaluable. I think this is like my third dirty from use, but I think I poured over this book a lot when I was younger. Being a comic book reader, thinking that I would make comics someday, and I do. This is a book that I thoroughly enjoy. And so we're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to run down why. One of the books I love. Let's go. So, let's talk about one of the books I love. This is How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and John Buscema. Great artists. Stan Lee was the writer. John Buscema was an artist. Well, did the penciling. And this is a great book. And I think this is one of the many copies I've had over my life. It's about $16 US, $23.50 in Canada. And I think I bought this at a Barnes & Noble. So I think they're readily available. But why I love this book is that when I was younger, I loved drawing. I loved comic books, video games, manga, all of that. But back in the day, it was harder to find how did people make things. Like, how was animation made? How were our comics made? There wasn't a lot of information about how things were made. You just saw the finished product. And this book was one of those books that it clicked. Someone was making comics. How did they do it? And this was one of the best books when I was younger about how to make stuff, in this case, comic books. So the first thing I want to show is what really got me. What really got me is the figure. Let's study the figure. This was a section that just blew my mind. Because look at that. Captain America, and he throws his mighty shield, but in it goes on to what are the head heights, right? How many heads are superheroes composed of, approximately? There is a superhero figure, a superhero build that is different from normal people build, and I learned that from this book, right? Male, female, Sue Storm of the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom. But like, this is how you would draw a normal person in relationship to a superhero figure. It's more muscular, more dynamic, more broad-shouldered, greater emphasis on muscles, how to get dynamism in your art. And I loved this part. Like, the thing is how you break them down into simple shapes to make a complex form. And it clicked for me in this instance. Yes. How to make gesture drawings, just using simple shapes, just to get an idea of what you're going for. And then you can build off of that, stick figures to a more developed anything. And that is fantastic. Iron Man, from a simple, then you flesh it out with your simple shapes, and then you develop it more into a final. Spider-Man. Spider-Man was one of my favorites. Who doesn't love Spider-Man? Who? How much? No. So yeah, this is how to get gestured, like quick sketches, and then you develop what the character. This was a great resource for that. And these images, right, I'm still doing to this day. So for example, right, so I would actually, scan this, print it out, and then copy on thicker paper. That's how much I love this book. And I think I have one for Captain America. So yeah, but there's something to study, there's something to learn from this book, and that is why I love it. Another thing I loved was this idea, right, of simple shapes. You got the circle, you got the cube, you got the cylinder, and how those shapes can make more interesting, more complex shape. So cube into a chair, a book, a dining table, a television. So simple to complex. This was one of the first instances where I started to get it. Like, okay. You don't think about the complex thing first. You break it down into its simpler forms, and then you develop that. Even for human figures, like this is the Daredevil of Hell's Kitchen. Simple shapes to develop a more finished drawing. But you start off simple, and then you go to complex, simple to complex. And how shading of 3D objects can help define the form. Fantastic. And this was one of the first books that taught me that. So another one is The Power of Perspective. I had never really thought about it as a child. I just thought, they just made up bird's eye views and down shots, just, on the fly out of their heads. They're like, no, there's formulas that can help you get to where you need to be. From a cube, how do you look at a cube receding in space? Right? 1 point perspective. Everything comes down to this point. 2 point perspective. We have 2 points on the horizon line, 2 points, and how things go to their perspective points. And this is a top-down view, looking straight on at it and looking at it from the bottom. Things I didn't think about exactly when I was younger. 1 point perspective, horizon line, that 1 point, and all things go to that point. So these buildings for those cities that were in comic books, like New York, which is often featured. If you read Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, they're headquartered in New York. Well, also Marvel is headquartered in New York. 2 point perspective. Right? If you're looking at a New York, street, and you're like, okay, 1 point perspective, 2 points perspective, and even more complex perspectives of an extreme upshot. Fantastic. A down shot, extreme looking down. Like if you're Superman or Spider-Man swinging by, or he's perched on a building, he's looking down at what's going on. Those are like the main points that really helped out with this book. And yeah, I think I've bought like 3 of them. This is like my 3rd edition because I draw from it, mess it up, lose some. But let's see what else. What else can we find in this? Perspective, like that. You can use this to draw with the shading and inking, can help develop a piece from simple shapes. But I think another thing that I really liked about this book, this Power Man, I used to draw this page a lot. Like a lot. Because just a rough gestural And then you develop that using simple shapes, develop even more. Then you can add clothing and bits and bobs to make his, look come together. And then top it off with detailing, shadowing, or shading, all of that. That's what I like about Spider-Man example. A loose gesture, and you break it down, simple shapes, develop those shapes to more complex form. You push it. Push it means, keep going on that drawing with detail, and then add shadowing. The costume, pull it all together. Incredible. But yes, this is like dynamic poses. Look at that Black Panther. That is, I love that pose. Look at that pose, man. But yeah, how to get dynamism. I don't even know if that's a word. That has to be a word, right? Dynamism into your into your art. Stuff I really foreshortening. All the things I didn't really think about when I was younger. I just thought, hey, it just hopped out of their minds, fully formed. It's like, no, I used to draw this page a lot too. Heads at different angles. Johnny Storm, Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. But I think another one, villain heads. Look at that. Those villains using different shapes for the head shapes to make these villains. While the heroes have a more standardized, heroic feature set of their face, villains, you can go. I think that's why people like drawing villains. I like drawing villains because, again, you can add more wackiness. Look at that head. I think he's Hammerhead from Spider-Man. A villain, profile views, front views, how to break down that head, and expressions. Upturned eyebrows, open mouth, like concern, intrigue, a bit of smugness. I like that. Shock or fear. This could be surprise. But this book taught me so very much. And I still look at it today. Like at one point, I think I want to do all of these. I want to ink all of these just as a personal project, just to do it. Composition, yes. This. Like how to make a good image, right? Foreground objects and then a figure moving away, right? How does that make a great composition? How do you, arrange multiple figures to make it look interesting? Framing devices, grouping of characters. So, look at that. Where he's looking, where the audience will be looking. A grouping and one character off. You're not with the group, buddy. You must be the villain. All of this, yes. This is Captain America surrounded by evil, I think. These are in the center, surrounded by goons. Nice. Just a lot of stuff I didn't know. Everybody has to start somewhere. And this was a great place to start. And also another thing is how or where to put your camera. If the frame is a picture, right? And the frame is you're looking through the camera lens. Where do you place the camera? So this is good, but this is better. Because it's more dynamic. It's just off. It's more interesting to look at than this. J. Jonah Jameson. You can have this straight standard shot, or with his emotion, you can add it to the whole scene. Again, Dr. Doom. Right? You can be framed just like this, and that's fine. That's great. But this is much more dynamic. So yeah, it made me think of what I didn't see before I could then see. And that's what happened with this book. And that is why I love this. I love this book. I always wanted to try this one. This is one of those where you look at this and then you try to make your paneling more interesting than this. Because usually your first idea is good, but then you can always make it better. And to make that better, some composition moves, some figure grouping, some dynamic contact. Iron Man's going through it right now. No, says the Vision. Yes. It's always interesting to look at. Spot the differences that makes this more interesting than this. Right? Two guys looking at each other. This guy's slightly leaning forward, and this guy's slightly out of frame. He's pointing, get out of here. Or an emphatic from the get out. Right? I like this posing right here. A place for your word balloons. This is just, it's good. This is better. In this one, you can see more of both characters' faces. It makes it just a bit more interesting. And the camera's slightly up like that. This guy looks shifty. Better than this. And then look back, or this one. So, there's things you got to think about. How can we make this better? And it's what I try to keep in mind, but I'm still going through it. A lot to learn. A lot to learn. Look at that, step by step. Loose planning stage, more developed, and then more refined. The Red Skull. Arch nemesis of Captain America. But yes, how to make a cover, right? If you're gonna do a cover, you could try different ways of doing it just to see which one do you like better. Because the cover is very important. The cover is what will make somebody, it's almost like a thumbnail on YouTube. What would make somebody click? And a cover is what would make somebody purchase. But yes, there's inking styles. There's even a section in the beginning on what is used in the making of comics. Pencils, pens, brushes, inks, pages, T-squares, a rag just in case, the unfortunate happens. I've needed a rag once in my life. The terminology that can be used in comics, interesting. But those are all the reasons why How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is a book that I greatly enjoy. You could say that I love it. So thank you for going over this book with me, and I have been Trey, and I will see you on the next video. Take care, keep shining, bye-bye. Hulk smash. It's clobbering time, that's what the thing says. Does Thor have a catchphrase? Spider-Man's witty. Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom's I don't know, I'm just talking now. Later!